Now listen to part of a lecture on this topic in a math education class.
Misconceptions about simple notions in arithmetic are not readily given up. So, for example, a child who believes that 1/4 is larger than 1/2 will not let go of this misconception when he or she gets back an assignment full of red correction marks. The child will let go of this misconception when he or she fully understands fractions. So, how do we develop this understanding? I think this situation is partly caused by the practice in many schools of teaching mathematics by rote. In other words, children are taught to memorize a formula, to practice using that formula, and then go on to the next one. Children start to believe that math is boring and work through problems without understanding the nature of the concepts. So, what happens is that kids can work a problem only if they remember the formula. Using the rote method of teaching doesn't take into account the child's pre-knowledge or informal knowledge of mathematics. Even a small child can tell the difference between a whole cookie and a half a cookie. So, using this informal knowledge is a very important part of helping children learn fractions, or other math concepts for that matter. Teachers tend to forget they must put these concepts into daily situations that children can relate to. Using real objects, children can come up with the formula themselves. And having done that, the children learn and understand the formulas better. It's also true that teachers too often assume that children understand the mathematical symbols being used. For example, the symbol for percentages. Unfortunately, too often that is an incorrect assumption.
Listen to part of a lecture in an earth science class.
Of course, you're all familiar with rainbows, perhaps the most beautiful of the atmospheric phenomena. However, there are other interesting but less common phenomena that I will be speaking about today. These are produced when light from the sun, or sometimes from the moon, passes through hexagonal-shaped or six-sided ice crystals. These ice crystals refract, that is, bend the light in the atmosphere. Imagine that the crystals are prisms bending each wavelength of light at a different angle. I want to describe three different phenomena that occur depending on the ice crystal's orientation towards the surface of the Earth. How the crystals are arranged in relation to the Earth. Okay. So the first phenomenon is a ring called a halo. This happens when the ice crystals are randomly scattered in the atmosphere. If the light enters these crystals, randomly scattered crystals, the light is dispersed around the sun or moon and is seen as a ring around the light source. So, halos occur when the ice crystals that the light shines through are randomly dispersed in the atmosphere. Okay. Sometimes, however, the ice crystals are oriented horizontally instead of randomly. Now, this causes a different phenomenon. If the sun is low in the sky and its light shines through horizontal ice crystals, we see two bright spots on either side of the sun. These are called sundogs and are seen at an angle of 22 degrees from the sun. Both halos and sundogs are caused by refraction of light. The third phenomenon is a sun pillar. Around sunrise or sunset, you might see a shaft of light stretching either upwards or downwards from the sun, a sun pillar. Unlike halos and sundogs, though, with sun pillars, sunlight reflects, not refracts, off horizontally aligned ice crystals that are gently falling through the atmosphere.
Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic you just read about.
Today, I wanted to question the idea that rewards increase productivity in the workplace. Now, does this approach really work? Well, when people who have experienced a reward system were asked, we found they didn't like it. Most people, it seems, want to be paid, not encouraged through incentives. People want to be given respect for working extra hard. In fact, I know of no controlled study that has genuinely shown a long-term improvement in work as a result of any productivity reward scheme. On the contrary, there are many studies that show productivity rewards are even counterproductive. Rewards make for less productivity rather than more. So, why might this be true? Well, in fact, rewards actually punish. Yeah. If we compensate people for high productivity, they may perceive this as being controlled. People understand they're being manipulated and don't like it. But more importantly, people don't necessarily get the expected rewards. So the disappointment for not being rewarded is sort of the same as being punished. Think about it. The more desirable the reward you expect, the more disappointing it is if you fail to get it, right? Productivity schemes might even reduce the amount and quality of work. The worker's relationship with the supervisor could be damaged. Instead of trying to work collaboratively with the supervisor, an employee might conceal problems. For example, let's say you had a problem. You might be less likely to ask for help from a supervisor who can withhold rewards. To avoid a negative rating, you keep quiet. Can you see why this would tend to reduce performance rather than improve it?